Hi there, I'm Stan Baker, one of your Circle Forum co-hosts, along with Shelley Steele and Steve Young. In this episode, we delve into the intriguing topic of reevaluating the significance of daily school attendance, especially in the wake of the post-COVID mindset shift among parents. Our candid conversation unravels the complex relationship between education, parental perspectives, and the evolving structure of our educational systems. You'll find free resources and great links on our website, www.restorative.ca, or you can reach me, Stan, at restorative.ca. Now, we're about to navigate through the layers of this global issue and gain a deeper understanding of the factors influencing attendance and its impact on our children's future. So, let's dive in with Shelley, Steve, and me, Stan. A great article we had in our inbox recently is from England, and that parents in England no longer see daily school attendance as vital. And it raises a lot of questions and a lot of points that are very blunt about what's happened since COVID in particular.
Yeah, this article talked to a lot of parents who maybe COVID shone a spotlight on kids in school and their experience in school. But a lot of the parents reported in that article are saying, we just don't see it as necessary that our kids at school every day, that our kids are be just fine, but we can balance our life a little bit. And if we choose to take them out for a day or 2 days a week, we think they're going to be fine in the long run. So school isn't as important as we always thought it was. And maybe it was COVID that shone the light on that. And we forced parents to start teaching their kids at home through online learning and whatnot. It's just opened up a new reality for people.
I think there's been a real mindset shift after COVID, since COVID, about a lot of things. And looking at our values, what we value in life, what is most important to us, where do we find balance? And that's what that article's speaking to around education and formal education as we think about it. But we know that shifted in a lot of ways, whether that's employment, where I'm going to work from, what do I want to do with my time that I have? So it's a real mindset shift. And that really got me thinking about how we understand attendance or chronic absenteeism. And do we have to ask some different questions? Are we just going on the questions and thinking that we have always used about why kids are absent from school? When if it's a mindset shift of parents, those are some very different questions.
I think part of what it was interesting, there's one parent who said, I just don't care as much and life's too short. So rather
Right.
than long-term thinking about the impact of not being at school, it's just let's take care of the here and the now, the immediate. And our argument in terms of absenteeism has always been on the long-term effects of missing school. And so we're completely missing each other in terms of what the schools are saying and what the parents are saying. And so we need to really bring those two together.
Yeah, I think and that's the problem. It's short-term thinking versus long-term thinking. And we know that espousing restorative practices, we know that that's a long-term solution or a long-term strategy for, well, relationship. It's also a long-term strategy for keeping kids in school. But I guess the question that the data people will have out there, and the researchers will look at is what's going to be the long-term goal, long-term effect on some of these kids whose parents are saying, 2 days a week, 3 days a week is fine. They don't need more than that. Okay, where are they going to be 20 years from now? Nobody knows that. No, so that's that short-term thinking without the long-term data that show that it could be okay. And we know that some kids probably will be fine if their parents are substituting those days off with other activities that are learning activities.
So, what kinds of questions did this article raise for you that we have to start to really rethink? Because I think it does push us to start looking at some different ways of looking at absenteeism.
I think Steve mentioned one about looking at we obviously can't see long-term data yet, but even short-term data. How are they doing academically? Are they meeting what's needed to be met? How is the absence from school affecting that or not affecting that? Looking at that data in a different way rather than just they're absent, so therefore we need to challenge that. Also, the piece around the questions around what we need to understand from parents. We have talked many times about parents being the driving factor, particularly with setting habits for attending school. So we really need to understand the parents thinking about school and what they're valuing now.
I think for me, what this made me start thinking was just the structure of school itself. We have one called the industrial school. It developed about 150 years ago, 200 years ago. Is that probably less than that? And it seems to be the structure that exists around the world in one form or another. But when you start to drill down, you see some countries have longer school years than us, or shorter. Some have longer days than us, shorter days. Some don't teach all the same subjects that we teach. They leave these other subjects up to other people. It brings to me into question just the structure of our schools and our school year and our school system. Maybe we need to start rethinking that, because the reality is that parents in this article, and probably a lot that aren't in this article, are saying the structure that exists doesn't meet my kids' needs anymore. I can meet them in some ways. It meets some of the needs, but I can meet the rest. Then my other question, the obverse side, is what are they missing by not being at school? And us as restorative practitioners, we know that relationships are so important. And when we talk about other areas like mental health and so on, are those kids missing out on developing those skills they're going to need later on in life, work life, go into workplace with other people, if they haven't developed those skills along the way as well? So it does bring a lot of questions, more questions than answers, but I think it's going to force the British government, probably other governments around the world, to say, maybe we need to look at attendance differently. And maybe that 10% threshold needs to change. And chronically absent maybe should be 20 or 25% and not 10%. We could reduce chronic absenteeism with a stroke of a pen if we just change it from 10% to 20%. The levels would drop enormously. So data is what it is. It's only a construct of
Right.
what we decide it to be, but maybe they need to look at what is reasonable attendance.
I think
And the impact of changing. Perhaps that is right, Steve. Maybe it gets changed, but then along with that is not just the number, but the impact. And then that gets more complicated again. And there's some judgment around what is valued then, or if that's a poor outcome, or no, that's an okay outcome, because at the other side of this, our family is feeling more settled and less stressed. So it's a real weighing of impact in what people's belief systems are.
I think parents have been asked during COVID in particular to carry the freight, basically, in terms of education. And now they're being told, hey, it's not as important. Send them back again. And wait a second, we did all that. And one person said, like, the work we were getting during COVID was an hour and a half a day. If that's all it is, then maybe we don't need to send them to school every day.
Yeah. I,
The other thing I thought this article really pointed out is just the importance of data and
mhm.
sharing the data, and even just the comparisons pre-COVID to now, what kind of a change that is. And it seems to me that some of the data has been held back by schools. Like, it doesn't feel like we're being completely honest with everyone about what the actual numbers are. And then the other question that came up for me was, who else needs to be involved in this conversation? Because it really seems that absenteeism and attendance has been restricted to a school-based conversation. And what this article says too is we've got to get more people involved in this conversation. We've got to get the people from mental health. We've got to get the people from law enforcement. We've got to get the people from social services and child protection. We need to get all these people in on the conversations, because we're all dealing with aspects of the same families in particular. We think we're having multidisciplinary conversations when we have different departments from our school boards together, but it's not actually a multidisciplinary. And I think that this article says we got to get these outside of school agencies in. And I think we need to really start talking to parents.
It's really neat to see that it's not a North American problem. It's a world problem. And that absenteeism is not, as a problem, is not being wrestled to the ground anywhere. That everyone's struggling. And maybe for different reasons. Well, I think when you talk about bringing all the agencies in, we got to start bringing in other countries and say, look, this is a worldwide absenteeism from school. Where's the world going to be for your kids have the education that think they're going to need for technologically future. So it's what we do know, that when we do bring people together, we know how to have a good conversation.
I think we do have, just by you, as you pointed out, it's a worldwide situation. It's not because schools run in different ways. There's lots of differences, but what I think we need to get back to is the mindset that has shifted for people since COVID around what they think is now important in their world, and have that discussion.
And have to find that out, you really need to have a
Yes.
conversation. So maybe the solution is fairly simple. Start listening in conversations to parent. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Circle Forum. I hope the discussion around parental perspectives on student attendance has sparked some intriguing thoughts and reflections. As we wrap up, it's clear that the conversation around education and absenteeism is evolving, urging us to delve deeper into the diverse factors shaping our educational landscape. For more information on our work with restorative practices in education, check out our website, www.restorative.ca, and remember, every viewpoint matters and every voice contributes to the broader dialogue.